Jane on the
You're listening to the Bear Down Chicago podcast with Logan Bradley, Ryan Dengel, Patrick Sheldon, Brendan Shagrew, and Jack Wright. The Bear Down Chicago podcast. Yeah, we're that Bears podcast.
All right, folks, welcome into another edition of the Bear Down Chicago podcast. Now, I am your host, Ryan Dengel, and if you want to find me on Twitter, you can be at Ryan Dengel. That's Dengel. You've already noticed my voice sounds terrible, but it probably doesn't sound as bad as Jack Wright's voice. If you want to find Jack on Twitter, it's at Bear Down Jack. Our voices sound bad for different reasons, Jack.
Very different reasons. Yours is a happy bad because you were at the game yelling and screaming, and mine is just a bad from getting a viral infection that was relentless, my man.
So peel back the curtain. 4 of us that work with each other on a group thread that I think everyone had that group thread during COVID, like to keep you sane. You know, we're like, hey, I can't see these people, but I'm going to talk them. And it's one of the reasons why I was able to be lucky enough to refinance my house, right? Because the dads that we're in this text thread, and it worked out magically that all 4 of us could go to the game. Then one of the guys realized, wait a minute, not a noon kickoff. He's gone. And then there were 3. And then all of a sudden Jack's like, hey, I'm really, really, really sick. So he's gone. So it was just me and a good buddy TJ that got to go. We had so much fun, dude. It's so much fun.
Aside from the win, what was the highlight, do you think?
I think it was just being at Soldier Field. And honestly, I'm going to throw this out here for all of our for all the people that are watching us as opposed to just our audio only listeners. If you are someone that's just listening to this podcast, please make sure you come by and check us out on YouTube. But we had some really cool seats. So I'm going to put this one up here. This is from our vantage point. It was really neat to watch the offense from this angle, right? Like, especially when it was reversed and then you're watching like everything develop as like the quarterback kind of watches it develop, right? You're watching it from that kind of viewpoint. So that was really cool. Plus to get to see like the Bears scored most of their points right at where we are. So that was awesome. The one that really got me was the Cole Kmet was at 53-yarder. I'm like, he dropped it. And then everyone's like, it's first down. Like, get to the play, get it going. And it was like, so that was super fun, dude. We had a really good time.
How was the crowd in general? Was there still a good turnout given all the factors?
So there were lots of empty seats, but not as many as we thought there were going to be when we first walked in. And I know this sounds stupid, but one of the coolest things was the wave made its way around Soldier Field maybe 8 or 9 times. I mean, it was legitimately 5 minutes or more that it was going around. And we're like, oh, we're doing it again. All right, there's the wave. You know, it's like, it'll die down. Wait, it's coming back.
I don't remember like that being a thing at previous Bears games that I've been to, but you know, why not? All the vibes were good. The Bears were winning, scoring points, 21 out of the gate. Let's go.
Yes. So there was good stuff in there, and there was some not so good stuff, which we'll hop into. Why don't we thank our sponsor at Sheridan's and Hensel's, and then from there let's talk. We don't have Brendan, right? Because wait a minute, is today like a kind of a big deal, Jack? Is there something going on?
Yeah, it's a big day before a big day, I think. So it's just you two, just us two, hanging out. We're super big Bears nerds, and we own it, right?
Well, just the amount of people watching currently would suggest that we are not alone in that. No, if you are hanging out with us, let us know in the comments section why you are hanging out with us on a Christmas Eve, because we want to know. We want to hear about it.
Hey, nice throwback jersey today. You matched the team. Well done by you.
Yes, indeed.
Our guy at Sheridan's, Will, would be proud. Big Bears fan and a great barber. Sheridan's Barbershop is located in historic downtown Wheaton, Illinois. And it's been serving the community for 69 years with 6 barbers. They're open 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday. They have appointments available to book online or by phone at your convenience. You can go to sheridansbarbershop.com or you can call 630-668-0137. If you've been with us before, you know that they also opened a shop in Naperville. It's called Hensel's Barbershop. It's located in downtown Naperville, and that one's been open since 1966. There they have 6 barbers. They're open Tuesday through Saturday. They accept walk-ins, or you can make an appointment. You can go to henselsbarbershop.com. And for Sheridan's and Hensel's, book your appointment today because that's where traditional meets modern.
Jack, so this is hot off the presses. Our friends at Miskatonic Brewing Company, phenomenal beer. If you guys like beer and you are somewhere around the area, you got to get to Miskatonic. It is so good. So they've got their brewery that's in Darien, which is just absolutely killer. But they opened up a new restaurant, right? And so I am so thrilled about this. We got to talk to them a little bit about it. I can't wait to get in. So our friends at Miskatonic Brewery recently opened a tap room and craft kitchen in Naperville, serving up global cuisine and homemade fare in addition to the Darien-based company's beloved craft beers and cocktails. Seriously, their beers are ridiculously good. Menu ingredients are sourced from farms located in the Midwest, and homemade sausages are a spotlight from their Publican alum head chef. Wine and zero-proof cocktails are also available. Open at 47 East Chicago Avenue in Naperville, Tuesday through Sunday. Go check out their thoughtful fair and welcoming staff. If you do, let them know the guys at the Bear Down Chicago podcast sent you. We are huge Miskatonic fans, and this is the owner is a wonderful guy. Like truly, when I know we throw that word around a lot, but he just couldn't be a better guy. And so we're so thrilled. We both work close to this, and so J-Dub's like, it's happening. We're going to go to Miskatonic. We're going to drink some of their delicious beer and try some of their delicious food. I can't wait, dude.
I feel like all of our favorite folks not only are supporters of us, but are also, I mean, it's not by happenstance. They're also just places and people we love. I think that's pretty cool. You could just be like rando sponsors, but we're lucky. We've got people that we actually like who give good haircuts and make great beer and food.
So you could go and get your haircut at Hensel's, and then walk over with your fresh dew and get Miskatonic food and beer, and you would be winning all of those things. So go check it out. Miskatonic. It is awesome. All right. So Jack, let's get some just overall thoughts on the game, how you kind of thought it went. Make sure, I know, hey, it's a win is a win. I'm excited. I'm happy, but there was not all just rainbows and sunshines. So please, walk us through your overall thoughts on this game.
Yeah, I thought, first half was extremely fun to watch. I thought the offense clicked really well. I thought Justin Fields did a nice job of orchestrating drives. I didn't think Luke Getsy did a terrible job of calling plays. The ball was spread around. As we were talking about pre-show, Ryan, the Bears absolutely ran the ball down Arizona's throat. I think they had 250 yards of total rushing offense, and what do we say, over 400 yards of total offense. So, in terms of moving the ball, especially in the first half, impressed. I thought they did a really nice job. I thought what do they call them? The platform plays, the secondary plays that Justin pulled off were in control. He was incredibly evasive in the pocket, especially in the first half, but all throughout the game. And then we see the sputters again, and it's uncanny, really. The level, it's almost like it's a bad dream at this point. The extent to which they can't seem to bring things together in the second half, in the third quarter, in the fourth quarter, and made a game that shouldn't have really been close, way closer than it should have been. And I've got more thoughts on that, but I'd like to hear your thoughts because you were there.
Yeah, it's there are a few things that you'll notice when you're at a game, and a couple things that like I want to ask you too. I was listening to Yurko and Peggy, and Yurko was just lit up, just angry about Mark Sanchez's calls, like. And I didn't experience any of that because I was at the game, and so I don't know necessarily. There's just a couple things. Justin is driving down the field and everyone around us is saying the same thing. Why would you let this kid go? Why would you let him go? You restart a clock on Caleb Williams, who, like, I'm not a college football expert by any stretch of the imagination. Everybody knows that I'm not. But in the games that I have watched, I don't see anything that he does that is like significantly better than what Justin Fields does. And then Justin throws the interception. So, like we're having this conversation, and I get that we've gone back and forth on this, but and the Arizona Cardinals, that's a bad football team. That's a bad defense, poorly coached. Why did you go for a 2-point? Like, what are you doing? Like, maybe if you had done it at the end of the game, like maybe that makes sense because you're like, hey, I don't want to take this to overtime. We just want to win it now. But like, you're down 8 points now. It's just stupid. It's really, really dumb. So no, I think there were so many things that Justin did exceptionally well. Cole Kmet's 53-yard catch was exceptional. It just that dude gets better and better every week. I hope he's healthy, and I hope everything is okay in that sense. But yeah, I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at on it.
Yeah, it is interesting. It's a bit of an enigma with Justin, for sure. I mean, and I could see why you would be saying that. The way, as I mentioned, he orchestrated the offense was impeccable through much of the game. I'm still 50-50. Honestly, I think they showed a graphic that you obviously couldn't see because you were at the game, but his interceptions in the fourth quarter are tied for the most in the league at this point. And you've talked a lot about the fumbles as well. So, I don't know. I do think, as we say often, rising tide lifts all ships. I do think he needs more weapons. I think he needs a little bit better of an offensive line, and he needs more playmakers. We've seen that in the last 2 weeks when they get injured, offensive players. It's thin. It's anemic.
See, Jack, that you spot on, dude. You stole my next point, which was going to be very much that. Cole Kmet goes down, and DJ Moore is hurting. He's not out, but he's hurting. The offense stalled out, not running the football, but just who's he supposed to throw to? And I literally, I have this down in my notes tonight. I've been meaning to ask you this very question, which is, who do you blame the interception on? Is it completely Justin's fault? It looked in the replay that we saw in the stadium that Khalil Herbert just didn't try to get aggressive and go for the ball. He just kind of like said, well, I'm going to stand here and wait for it. So I don't necessarily know where I place blame for that. I think he was trying to make a play with a guy that ran the ball exceptionally well, but Khalil Herbert isn't the world's greatest pass catcher. Where do you kind of put that?
Oh, I think it'll be interesting. I don't know if you probably haven't seen a replay yet. I mean, and I tweeted it, and then, not that I need this cred, but then Sanchez said it like a minute later. I think it was 100% on Justin. I mean, he needed to throw that ball. He underthrew it. I mean, plain and simple, he underthrew it. And that is the one, again, probably the one really, negative of his entire game, but it was a big one, man. It was a momentum changer, a huge momentum changer. He needed to throw the ball to the back pylon. Herbert had 3 yards on both of the defenders. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not an NFL quarterback, but he is. He gets paid a lot. He was a first-round draft pick, and he's got quite a bit of experience now. He wasn't pressured, unless I watched the replay and I'm wrong. He needed to put that ball at the back pylon where only Herbert could have caught it. And I think Herbert could have ran under it pretty easily. I think if you watch it, Ryan, you're going to say it was 100% Justin's fault.
Okay, that's good to know. I literally I asked because I couldn't see it from our vantage point at the game, and again, the replay that we saw just looked like Khalil Herbert was like, "Why isn't that in?" I don't know. Like, could he have maybe?
If it was a wideout, you're right. I think you could have gone back. I mean, like a wideout could have probably gone back or up for it, and played like a little bit of defense. But I mean, in that particular situation, it looks a lot to me like you've got a running back with 3 steps on the defenders and a ball on the back pylon is a touchdown.
All right, since I'm asking football questions of a former football coach, why on earth would you drop Justin Jones into coverage, a defensive lineman that I don't understand that, and it would seem both in Cleveland and this week, unless I'm missing something completely, which is entirely possible, that has resulted in long sustained touchdown drives both weeks.
You know, it is a great. No, it's a great question. I was thinking a little bit about that last week when he was out there on Njoku, who had another stellar game again for Cleveland. And my initial thought, without looking at end zone or all 22, is that the goal of an offense is to try to create favorable matchups, and that's why they do. You'll hear like Peyton Manning on the Manning cast talk about like he'll call it burst or break. So they'll start tight and and then they'll go and they'll widen out, and then they might motion a receiver across, and then they might take 2 tight ends and motion them to the other side of the set, and that's all a chess match in an attempt to try to get a mismatch someplace. Now, I could see it happening the once last week, and I'm sure if we got an honest answer from the defensive coordinator, head coach, and defensive personnel, they would say Cleveland just did a really nice job of catching us in a bad situation. Our matchup, our personnel didn't match up appropriately, and we ended up with a guy in coverage who we don't want in coverage. They beat us on that play. They just beat us on that play. It's a good question to ask it again, though, this week, RD, because I would think that probably the Cardinals saw the film as well, and for the fact that they got us into that situation again, not good. That's not that clearly that is a problem. That's the best answer I can give without seeing the situation.
There was another thing that the Cardinals definitely did their homework on, which is the Bears defense has been susceptible to running backs catching the ball out of the backfield, and they have been bitten by it all season long. And that seemingly was Arizona's plan all the way along. And for a little while, it was very successful. They kind of bottled up Connor. I think they only had 93 or so rushing yards, or so it was under 100 yards rushing that the Bears allowed. But they just got killed with that. That was really bad.
Yeah, I mean, I think as great as a season as TJ Brooks has had, some folks on Twitter were telling me that he's got one of the worst coverage rates.
TJ who? TJ who?
I just am going to call him that from now on. I think it's going to be TJ Brooks for the rest of his life, because I also heart TJ Brooks.
So TJ Brooks is hanging out with us.
He's the best.
But no, you're talking about TJ Edwards. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, he I don't think is as good as coverage as he is in terms of run defense, where he's impeccable in run defense, like Pro Bowl level impeccable run defender. So I think that's probably going to be something that's got to be addressed in the offseason, whether it be the personnel. I mean, if they've got a nickel in, I'm not quite sure why they're always matching up RBs on linebackers who don't seem to cover very well. And so I think, as good as the defense has been, you're right, that is a weakness that other teams are targeting, and that the Bears are clearly susceptible to. That's a good eye on your part.
One other thing that I have in my notes that I absolutely positively have to talk about is when the game is on the line, the Bears need a first down and short yardage. Luke Getsy will almost always shit the bed.
Yeah.
What was that? It was his 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, and they run the Roshan, the Wildcat. I
don't know.
When the few times I heard someone right behind me, is that the I formation?
Yeah.
Boom, 10 yards. Is that the I formation again? 7 yards. You're like, okay. So it's 3rd and 1, and Getsy gets cute again.
Always.
Like I mean this. I think he had a pretty damn good game plan, allowing Justin to run, having some good design run calls for it. Khalil Herbert, Roshan, like the you cannot argue with how well the Bears ran the football against the Arizona Cardinals, right? But when it is an important situation,
Yeah.
he's gonna make the wrong call, like every single time.
Bears, they averaged 6.4 per carry. They were reeling off 12 to 15-yard runs at the beginning of the game. Roshan just absolutely punishes people when he runs the ball. Herbert, who isn't as punishing as he used to be before the injury, still really had a nice game running the ball. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is, but I mean, I guess it really does speak to the larger issue here. It's the elephant in the room, and it's the futility of the Bears in the third and fourth quarter. And I know we've talked about it a ton, and I would love to hear other people's perspective. But I would ask again specifically, other than just saying that this is Eberflus's team and he's the head coach, let's just take that aside for a minute. Where do you blame Eberflus for this, like games like today? Because what I can look at is what you just said, Getsy's inability to seemingly call third quarter offenses, call third and fourth and short, the interception, again, not the whole picture with Justin Fields, but a huge momentum changer. We've talked a lot about Eddie Jackson, but again, just to be honest, you expect your captain free safety to make a tackle on, Arizona's wide receiver. So I just continually, I heard Tom Waddle say a bunch this week, like when these types of failures happen, it takes a village. And I just see a whole lot of responsibility to be passed around that goes way beyond anything that like Flus is directly responsible for, other than just to say it's his team and it all falls under his watch, which is a valid point. But I just, again, wish there was as much emphasis placed. I mean, why, if you were really like hardcore about it, couldn't you say, no, not Flus. It's the guy who fumbles and throws interceptions in the fourth quarter. No, not Flus. It's the offensive coordinator who shits the bed every third and fourth quarter and on third and fourth down. No, not Flus. It's Eddie Jackson who can't play football. He's like playing some combination of like patty cake and some sort of like junior high two-hand touch. I mean, I'm not even exaggerating here. So like, I still think that if you started to want to like look for blame for all of this, and it is bad, none of us like it, but there is blame to be shared. And I think there's plenty of it to be shared. Tom Waddle is right. He was in locker rooms. It takes a village to have those types of breakdowns.
Well, I don't disagree with that at all. The only thing is just to play devil's advocate. And also, I mean, I'm not the biggest Eberflus fan in the world. Why the continual meltdowns in the late third and fourth quarter, right? Like it was almost oh no, here we go again. Why are you dropping defensive linemen into coverage? And I think he's gotten better about this one, but I know that this was a big issue in the middle parts of the season, is taking your best defenders off the field in key situations, that is just a big head scratcher to me. That I would say that absolutely falls on Matt Eberflus, not just the team. Eddie Jackson, we're going to get into that later, but like I would put all that stuff directly on Matt Eberflus.
Yeah, and the other thing too that I wanted to mention in there, and you make a good point, is I go back to my point last week, and we already talked about it. You mentioned it as well, that when push comes to shove, rubber meets the road. In those third and fourth quarters, when you need your offense to, I heard Flus say, and I know people don't like Flus, but I heard him talking about, I like this phrase. He said, our goal for the game is to win the ball. And really, that's kind of like this really cool, holistic way to look at the game, because the defense is trying to win the ball and take the ball back. And the offense is trying to win the ball and like move the chain and keep the ball like the entire game. But when the offense is needed to do that, I think a huge Achilles heel is their inability. I guess I'm starting to look at this like Ryan, like incredibly clearly. Like you need an offense to move the ball, secure the win, and bring the game home. And I'm just thinking as an offensive coordinator, I'm not giving Getsy a pass. I look out on the field, and Komet's over here, and DJ Moore is over here, and now I'm going, okay, I've got Tyler Scott. He's a rookie. Bayless Jones, everyone thinks he's worthless. I've got Tunyon. He dropped a wide open pass last week. Nice catch this week. Okay. I've got a couple running backs. Like you just look at Cincinnati. I was thinking a lot about Cincinnati, right? Where you go down the line at Chase, Higgins, and Boyd with Mixon in the backfield. And I don't know who their tight end is, but we're not going to arrive until we have those levels on offense. And there's nothing that Flus or anybody else can do about that when push comes to shove. Yet.
It's an excellent point. It's an excellent point. But I do think the 2:27 left in the second quarter, 3 timeouts,
okay.
right?
Yeah, bad. You're right.
And you go 3 and out.
Yeah.
It's if you would have heard everybody around just going, are they going to turn the ball over or is it going to be a 3 and out? It sounds like it's going to be a 3 and out. Yeah. And sure enough, a 3 and out. Like you can't have that in key situations. And while I totally agree with you, it is a whole view, right? This is not a great football team from top to bottom, right? I think it's made improvements, and I think your argument that things are trending in the right direction. I mean, there's not much. They were the worst team in the league last year, right? So it better be headed in the right direction. But there are times where like he just calls plays that still just why are we throwing wide receiver screens still when your team cannot run them?
Yeah.
Why are you getting cute in really key down situations? And some of his play calls have just been, it's just, I'm okay with him for the most part, except when it really counts. And that's a spot that I say you had a chance to just put Arizona away. Like you score something there, it's game over.
Yeah, he's proven to be very bad in those situations. And I think what we're saying too is that everything's got to go right for the Bears' offense, right? I mean, it's got to be a good play by Getsy. It's got to be, a good job with pass protection, by the offensive line or for the running the ball. We've got to have Fields making a good decision. We've got to have him, releasing the ball in a timely manner on the 5th step of his drop. No penalties. You know what I mean? So I think like that really shows a lot about where we're at as an offense is like, we're not good enough where we can overcome a single one of those factors being out of line, like, right. We've proven that all year long, sadly. Like there's no playmaker to make people look good in those bad situations. Like, yeah, we effed up. We jumped off sides. We whiffed on our pass coverage, whatever the case may be. Like we just, I think, I just think we're a draft away. I think we're free agency away. I think we're closer. I mean, closer.
TJ and I were talking about this at the game, not TJ Brooks, but our friend TJ. And if they somehow go to Green Bay and ruin Green Bay's playoff chances, then we are talking this a little bit like Detroit at the end of last year. But I'm not getting my hopes up, man. I get the feeling that this team that I love and want to see succeed will shit the bed in dramatic fashion against Green Bay and either get blown out or lose in a heartbreak way, because that's what they do. And also Arizona played exceptionally well against a Colts team that's actually been pretty darn good this season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm worried that maybe, I think I've got us winning one of the next 2 games, but I'm worried that both Hotlanta and the Cheese Curtain Heads will be maybe better football teams than we are, just like roster wise, just better football teams. But I still think if our defense is healthy, that puts us in games. So I feel like we've got a chance, against both of those teams. We'll see.
Yeah, definitely a vastly different defense than when we faced Green Bay the first time. Jack, I think it's time to kind of speed this thing up a little bit, and we're going to head out to
the outhouse and the penthouse.
The Outhouse and the Penthouse is brought to you by our guy, Jeff Cadwallader. He has been working hard since the beginning of the year to expand his real estate services to now include commercial properties, and he has been killing it. Doesn't matter if you're a business owner, a homeowner, or an investor, if you're looking to buy, sell, or lease commercial or residential properties, Jeff is your guy because Jeff is our guy. Give him a call, give him a text, Jeff Cadwallader with SVN Landmark today at 630-254-4734 or visit genevajeff.com. If you do talk to Jeff Cadwallader, let him know that the guys at the Bear Down Chicago podcast said hello. Jack, it's already a little bit late and it also happens to be Christmas Eve. So if we could, let's just do just a one for each. So let's do Penthouse and then Outhouse. So why don't you start it off? Who is in your penthouse today?
Well, Kyler Gordon had a game today, didn't he? Did it show up when you were there? Like him being all over the place?
Very, very much so.
Okay.
Blitzing, tackling, all across the board. Kyler Gordon looked fantastic.
Yeah, he led the team in tackles. He had 7, including 6 solo. He had a sack. He had a tackle for loss. He had a pass deflection. He had a quarterback hit. I mean, dude was all over the place. And also, if you take a look at him again, I don't know if you haven't, some of you haven't watched the game yet. Watch him get off blocks. Watch him try to shed blocks and get off defenders and make tackles. And then again, watch Eddie Jackson, who just lets himself get blocked. It's embarrassing. It's a great example of like a player that's like hungry and wants to win and be good, who's like ascending, and one who just needs to be out of town. I was saying, by the way, that I don't know as if I will be. The last time I was happier to see someone leave town, his name was Jay Cutler. I've not been nearly as happy to watch someone walk away as I will be. We're in the penthouse, I know, but holy cow. Kyler Gordon, ascending, great player. Just keeps getting better and better. Brisker and him together, just fantastic.
I want to say Cole Kmet just because 107 yards on 4 catches. I want to say Cole Kmet, but I need to say this guy instead, which is Khalil Herbert. 20 attempts, 112 yards, 5.6, a carry, a tutty, a reception for 9 yards. I think I was in the category of, damn, I think this guy's done. Like it's over with. I know a lot of other people said, well, this guy's done. He's over. Like he had a phenomenal game. He looked good. Yes, he had holes, right? But he hit those holes decisively. The thing that Khalil Herbert has had going well for him is his speed. And that was kind of hampered through his injuries. But I think that showed really, really, really well today. I was very, very impressed with his speed. Just seemed like he really wanted to show like, hey, you forgot about me, but I'm still here. Very, very, very impressed with Khalil Herbert. Jack, what about the Outhouse? Who do you got in the Outhouse? I think I already know.
Well,
but
I'm going to go a little different actually, because I mean, I think Eddie Jackson's just he's a shoe-in. Like he just might as well put him there permanently. But I was thinking a little bit, and I texted this too. Most of the talent and the money, I think the money too, is on the defensive side of the ball. And while I thought that the defense played well, I mean, I think what you need in games like today's game is what the Bears have been doing, and that's creating turnovers. I think the Bears needed to come up big in some way, shape, or form to secure that game because, again, I do think that the offense is not equipped to do those types of things. So I think, there was not many pass deflections or sacks or forced fumbles, or we were maybe close to 1 pick. And I know Kyler Murray's elusive and pretty athletic. He's also kind of a jackass, in my opinion. I'm so glad that dude's not on our team. You should see his body language, man. I'm a body language guy. He's just so pissy. So anyway, I would have liked to have seen the Bears defense come up a little bigger in big situations.
It's something I already talked about. I'm gonna hit it again. Running backs out of the backfield. I'm gonna throw you some numbers here, Jack. So Connor, phenomenal running back, 12 rushes for 45 yards, 3.8 a pop. Not great at all. They stayed committed to the run, but this one hurts. So 5 targets, 5 receptions, right? 5 targets, 5 receptions, 67 yards and a touchdown. Also, their other running back. Oh my gosh, Amari Dermacado. 7 receptions, 40 yards, right? He had 8 targets. So not only were they catching almost all the balls that are thrown in their way, they're doing it for exceptional yards. The Bears have got to find a way to get that figured out, because otherwise Atlanta and Green Bay are gonna just keep dumping it off to their very good running backs.
Yeah, I heard Bijan's pretty good at that.
I've heard he's pretty decent. I don't know. Jack, anybody else? I do want to say this. I texted you. Eddie Jackson is terrible. I know you probably had a better angle, right? But that touchdown where he just whiffed, we literally had a chance to say out loud, "Hey," I heard someone right behind me. It was a really smart guy. I should have said, "Hey, come on our podcast." He goes, "Who's that taking that terrible angle?" Like, "Oh, it's Eddie Jackson." Whiff, tutty.
He comes up on like run plays in the middle of the field and like, between the 30s, and he doesn't even try to tackle Ryan. He comes in and just tries to strip. It's weird, dude. I don't know why. I don't know what they say in film to him. I think they must just know it's over. And what are you going to say to the dude? I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's cooked, dude. He is bad.
It's funny as you've been harping on him for a while, and I didn't notice it nearly as much. And then last week, and then this week, woof. I'm using that reference, Buzz, your girlfriend, woof, because hey, it's Christmas Eve.
That's good.
Jack, anything that we missed, this is obviously going to be a much shorter episode than usual, just the two of us, but it's also Christmas Eve, and I'm going to go sit on my couch and be lazy.
Sounds like a plan, man. Okay, so tell me if you think I'm wrong, and he's probably exposed against better teams. But Lucas Patrick had a pretty decent game, actually. I mean, think about it. We're not really that concerned about the snaps. Snaps are pretty steady. And we'll see what his his PFF blocking percentage looks like. But I feel like he wasn't a liability. And I just thought, you know what, he's probably going to be gone, but he's done a decent job filling in at center for the most part. We need a center. There's no doubt about that. I'm not saying we don't. The other thing that I noticed on the TV, Artie, that you might be interested in, and this is just me making an insinuation, but it looked to me like both Flus and Fields were pretty impatient with Luke Getsy today. There was one instance in which they went to the sidelines and the Bears had the ball and they were waiting for the play call to come in, and they went over to Flus. And Flus is going like this. He's like this. Like, come on, dude. Like, get it in. I mean, and I could see him a couple times on the headset too. Like, Sheldon's been like waiting for, Flus to like take some initiative with him. I could just be making, like conjecture here, but it looked to me like there was some heat. And then a couple of times, Fields was just straight up PO'd. I mean, one time he yelled over at the sidelines. And I don't know if it was because he wanted to play in sooner or what it was. I thought I saw what looked like some, for the first time, palpable impatience between kind of that triad, which was interesting.
You can bring back Matt Eberflus, and you can bring back Luke Getsy, and you can bring back Justin Fields, but you can't bring back all three of them, right? Like, if you're going to bring back Luke Getsy, which I don't think that you should, you need a new quarterback. If you're going to keep Justin Fields, which I am starting to find myself more in that camp, that I'd like to keep Justin Fields and bring him a couple weapons, Marvin Harrison Jr. I think I find myself more in that camp lately. But it's not working. Luke Getsy and Justin Fields, like, no matter how much they try to sell the bromance or whatever, we're not buying it. They're not good for each other. It's a bad relationship.
Stay or go. Give me your prediction. He stays or goes. Getsy.
What? Okay. What do I think the Bears will do, or what would I do?
I think not what you want. What you think the Bears will do. Getsy stays or goes.
I'm going to have faith. Please. It's Christmas Eve. Fire Luke Getsy and bring in somebody that will see the best in Justin Fields and tailor the offense to his strengths. That's
Fields stays or goes.
gonna stay.
Flus stays or goes.
Stay. What about you?
I would say Getsy goes. I'm 50-50 on Fields. I just don't know what they're going to do. And I do think that Poles is going to leverage it in any way he can that benefits the team to the best of their ability. And like I said last week, I'm kind of okay with all the options, if I'm being honest. And then I think I've said from the beginning, and it's not just because I'm like some kind of like, people think I'm wearing like Flus hats and flying Flus flags, and I'm not, but I just think that the Bears are going to stick with him.
It's interesting as people much smarter than me have said he's already a goner. But I'm inclined to agree with you. I think he's done a lot lately. But again, but the competition has been so bad. So you know what I mean? Like I don't think I'll be shocked with just about anything.
Yeah.
Except if it's like they say, hey, we're firing Matt Eberflus, and we also we brought in, this coach from Michigan. Maybe you guys have kind of heard of him before. Harbaugh, like that would floor me. But everything else, like, I don't know. One of those three guys has to be gone. And I
would think so. I would think so.
I would be shocked if it wasn't that way. Jack, anything else that we missed?
No, those were the only two things that I thought were kind of stand out besides what we talked about.
Well, we hit all my notes, but there was one other thing. It was kind of important. Do we have a special episode this week?
I believe we do. We've been promoting it all week. I think that's what they call in the business. They call it a tease. You've been doing an excellent job teasing our guests who we're interviewing. What day are we interviewing this guest that we're having?
This guest will be here on Thursday at 3 p.m. Chicago time. And I don't know who's more excited about this guest, you or I. Who do you think's more excited about this upcoming guest?
I mean, I think both of us, because we both have tried to see if we could get this guest on the show. I think we both have a ton of respect for this guest. And I think if you've been in the Chicago area, you've watched this guest like just grow up and blossom into a professional broadcaster that is national level excellent.
So let's go through the hints and let's see if any of the people who are in our live chat can figure out who our guest is. Okay, so starting off with the very first hint that I dropped, which is, sorry. Thought I had this ready, but I don't. Okay. Our special guest hosted an ESPN radio show and was a Sports Center reporter. This guest worked for WGN and ESPN 1000. This guest went to, this one might give it away, Lake Forest High School, was a heptathlete and the captain of their track team at Cornell University. And also at one point was a part owner of a football team, the Chicago Red Stars. I don't have anybody guessing it, but that's okay. We're going to go for it anyway. And so our very special guest that is coming up on Thursday is Sarah Spain. We are stoked about this. Sarah Spain, she is so smart. She's so good at it. She wanted to mention at some point, she said something along the lines of, hey, I've been working on my book. I'm not reporting for the Bears as much, but I still think I could have a good conversation. And my thought was, you're like, your detached view is still going to be better than like 80% of, or maybe even 90% of people that are out there that just don't watch this team on a regular basis, that have some comment on how it's supposed to go. Dude, I'm stoked. I'm so excited.
Well, I think there's so much to listen for. I mean, just to ask her a little bit about her book and talk to her about, kind of like coming up in the ESPN family, ESPN Chicago family. She's got a ton of great stories. If anybody listened, they had like a reunion episode in the last few months here. And she's such like a lot of the guests that we talk about, she's just very accessible and has these great stories and is still really chill and respectful to just ordinary people like us. I think ever since you and I saw her at, we went to go see
Smartless.
our favorite podcast, Smartless, and we both looked over and I was like, I think that's Sarah Spain. And it was Sarah Spain. And then we tweeted her and she tweeted back at us. And so we might fanboy a little bit. We will try not to, but she's really great. So we're so excited to have her on.
I'm so excited because she's coming at this from a fan's perspective, but as someone who's covered the league, covered sports in every way, like I'm genuinely very curious to get her take on the Eberflus situation, the Justin Fields situation. Yes, everyone keeps talking about it, but that's because that's what's on all of our minds here in Chicago. And so if you get a chance, folks, we are going to be live. You will have a chance to ask Sarah Spain a question that you would like to ask her. So that will be this Thursday, which Jack, the date of that one is the 28th. Sorry. So the 28th of December at 3 p.m. Chicago time. We've got a special episode. We are stoked to have Sarah Spain on here and hang out with all of you. Jack, anything else before we get to shout outs and get out of here?
Not a thing. Well, I guess tomorrow it'll be a Bears victory Christmas Day Monday. That's a nice combo.
It's a nice combo.
I mean, how many times have we had that in the last 38 years?
Just sorry, one more time. A Christmas present for all of us at the Bear Down Chicago podcast.
So those poor gnomes.
It's there. Yeah, I think it's supposed to be trolls. Maybe
trolls,
she's burning, but yeah, it's whatever. It doesn't matter. All right, Jack, let's hear your shout outs, buddy.
Hey, listen, everyone, enjoy the holidays, whatever it is that you celebrate in your family, in your community, whatever your particular cultural traditions are. I hope that you have this love and joy and family and friends all around you, not to mention football, food, those things as well. Shout out to the Bear Down Chicago podcast family. We don't have everybody with us. Obviously, it's Christmas Eve. People are busy and probably with their families. And so, but Logan and Patrick, Brendan, of course, you, Ryan, we have just developed such a great family of our own here. So, I mean, shout outs to the people that we love the most, to our fans who are so consistently with us. Wow, what a great year. Like, you all are a gift to us. So Merry Christmas to us. Thank you so much, everyone.
We're coming up on 100 episodes, which is pretty crazy. So I think this is episode 87 or 88, somewhere along those. So it's just crazy to think about that people have been hanging with us for this entire time, which is just awesome. As a quick shout out to Jack's son, Connor, who got his first guitar. Buddy, you better be playing that thing all the time, as like whenever possible. The next three that I'm going to give shout outs to, first one is to a friend of mine. His name is John Nofke, and John and I, we've known each other for a while, and he's just such a good dude, and his willingness to laugh at himself, I think is just awesome and just greatly appreciated. Kyle George, we had some great back and forth with our special guest that is coming up, and just very excited about that. And then Gregory Bell II, we've had some awesome interactions, and he definitely promotes the pod, and we're very thankful for him. For all of us here at the Bear Down Chicago podcast, just as Jack said, so that's Logan Bradley, Brendan Shagrew, Patrick Sheldon, Jack Wright. I am Ryan Dengel. Folks, thank you so very much. Please, if you can, share, like, subscribe, do all of those things so that we can keep bringing you guys some content and spread the word as best as we possibly can. For all of us here at the Bear Down Chicago podcast, thank you so much, folks. And as always, Bear Down Chicago.